Hi Capricorn, welcome to your April 2020 Astrology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, just check out the description of the video for more details on that. As far as what we have in front of us, it's what I call the bridging the gap spread, and the way it works is the cards on the left side here represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. These are the past energies, present energies, future energies. Once we get through all those, we'll pull some oracle cards for some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. And keep in mind this is a general reading, so it feels more like the cards on this side represent your love interest energy, and the cards on the right side represent your energy. And definitely trust that, all right? But while I'm going through them, I can always refer to the cards on this side as your energy, just so it's a little less confusing. All right. So with all that out of the way, past energy on your side, we have the Queen of Arrows, which is the equivalent of the Queen of Swords, and the King of Arrows, which is the King of Swords. So interesting combination here. I could see this playing out a few ways. This is actually the court card for Libra, and this is the court card for Aquarius. So on the one hand, it could just be saying that you might have really been focused on your financial status and not really putting a lot of energy into the relationship. The reason I say that is because that represents your 10th house of career and social status, and this represents your 2nd house of finances. So it's one way it could be coming across. But the way I'm seeing it even more likely is that I feel like what was coming across here is you guys are trying to play it cool regarding this connection. You know, maybe you were trying to be open and receptive, right, with that Venus energy we see in the card, and trying to stay detached, like, oh, you know, I could take it or leave it, so not really showing your hand to them necessarily. So that's why I feel like primarily was going on there. So, you know, you were trying to get that balance where you didn't want to necessarily be the aggressor, but you're still trying to stay open to the connection. And even though these are both sword cards, I feel like you weren't, again, I feel like you didn't really communicate your feelings toward the person in the past. Past energy on their side, we have the Moon. So this card I could see playing out a couple of different ways. For one, it could just be saying that maybe the reason why you were trying to play it cool and not show your hand is because you found them to be a bit confusing. So, you know, you were trying to feel it out and see, okay, are they into me or not before you made a move. But on the flip side, the other way it could be is also because of the fact that you were playing it cool. Maybe they were the ones who were confused, like, okay, well, I don't really know if this person's into me or not. Now, I will say that given this is the energy coming from their side, it probably is more likely that they were the ones causing the confusion for you. But I do have to say, what always stands out to me with the artwork in this card is it looks like she's holding a mirror there. So to me, I really, especially given the cards on your side, I feel like it's a mirroring thing where you're both like trying to play it cool and not show that you had feelings, but at the same time that wasn't progressing the situation, right? Because you're both trying to see, you know, wait for the other to make a move first, and it's not really going anywhere. So that's what I feel like was going on between the two of you in the past. And the present energy on your side, we have the King of Staves, the Princess of Staves, and the Two of Coins. So what I find interesting about these energies here is, all right, well, this is Leo energy for one. This doesn't represent a specific fire sign, but it does represent the fire element. And then we have the Two of Coins, which is actually a card of your energy, the first 10 degrees of Capricorn. So for those of you with your Capricorn placement in those degrees, this might resonate with you a bit more. But what I'm seeing with these cards here is almost a continuation of that energy. Like you're getting closer to wanting to take action. But again, there's still a bit of that indecisiveness on your part as opposed to, okay, well, now I'm ready to take action, right? So maybe you're just thinking about it in the past. Now you're getting to the point where you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this. But, you know, you're like, should I come off a bit more aggressive, right, with the Leo energy, or still come across a bit more feminine, right, with that Princess of Staves? So that could be that back and forth that you're having in your mind. Like, okay, do I want to come across and maybe, you know, especially if you weren't getting a clear read on them, you're like, well, would me coming across aggressive be too much for them? Would they prefer if I come across a bit more, you know, laid back? So I feel like that's where you're at this stage, where you're just trying to figure out which of those two approaches would be best for you. Present energy on their side, we have the Six of Pentacles. So this is actually Taurus energy here. So maybe you guys are dealing with a Taurus and maybe even a Cancer or a Pisces, as far as their placements go. So maybe someone who has a combination of those placements. But what I'm seeing here too, though, this is a card that represents balance, the Six of Pentacles. So again, this is almost one of those things too, where I feel like for a lot of you, the initiative is going to have to come from you, because with this being balanced, the way I see that is, okay, well, similar to what we were saying in the past, if you don't take action, then they won't either. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, it's going to have to be on you most likely to make that move first. Trying to see if anything else comes to mind with this. But yeah, I mean, what I will say is they might at least give you a bit more of a sign of their interest, because what sticks out to me with this too is the body language, right? She's leaning in towards the card on your side. So to me, it could be saying that at least they're kind of warming up and letting you know that there is some interest there. So again, I feel like, if you're showing mild interest, they probably would too. But at the very least in the present, that might be what helps you, feel a little bit more confident as far as taking action, is the fact that they might be gradually starting to show interest in you. And the future energy on your side, we have the Ten of Arrows. So this is actually the equivalent of the Ten of Swords in traditional tarot. And what I'm seeing here is I feel like this is actually you guys making that move. Now that might sound kind of weird, right? Coming from the Ten of Arrows, if we're used to the way it comes across in the traditional tarot. But between the actual definition for the Ten of Arrows in this particular deck and also the visual image, I feel like this is actually going to represent you, getting out of that phase where you've just been stuck in your head and actually taking that action. So what do I mean by that? So we have the 9 arrows there, right? So if we think of the 9 of Swords, that's that energy of being stuck in your head, losing sleep, right? Maybe having nightmares, just really having a lot of anxiety. And that 10th arrow, to me, it's not a coincidence that it's actually pointed in a different direction, right? And it's actually pointed towards them. So if we think about the arrows or swords representing communication, to me that's like, okay, you're finally getting out of that 9 of Swords energy and actually are going to communicate to this person. And that also, to me anyway, aligns with the fact that with the Queen of Arrows, she's holding that arrow in the same position towards this person, right? So however weird it may seem on the surface to see 10 of Arrows and think that means that you're actually going to move forward, to me in this case it means, coming to an end as far as being stuck in your head and actually communicating to the person. And you know what, I do have to say, timing wise, that would kind of make sense too, because you guys had Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house of communication recently, and now that retrograde's finally over. We're in Aries season now, but Mercury is still moving through Pisces as we speak. So, now that it's actually gaining strength in that sign and will eventually be out of shadow right around the end of March, this could just be saying that, okay, as that energy clears up in your house of communication, now you feel more able to communicate what's on your mind. And the future energy on their side is the 2 of Chalices. So this is the equivalent of the 2 of Cups. So what I'm seeing here, I mean, it almost speaks for itself that you would be well received when you finally do communicate to this person. And like I said, I really just feel like that's the primary thing, where neither of you were giving each other a clear sign in the past that, there was interest. You're both trying to wait for the other to make that first move. Like I said, in the present, I feel like it might be that what gets you to that, going from Swords to Wand energy, is the realization that maybe they do give you some subtle signs that there is interest. And then in the future, I see you actually coming forward and letting them know how you feel. All right. And the bottom of the deck on your side, we have Innocence, which is the equivalent of the Fool card. So again, that could just be pointing to your energy, right? Where you were trying to play it cool and not, you were worried about, oh, what if I come across too aggressive or too, laid back, just really caught up in your head about the situation. But also, if we think about the innocence or fool card, it represents taking a leap of faith too, right? And that's where I see maybe you do communicate. And interestingly enough, beneath that, we actually have the Queen of Coins, which is the court card representing Capricorn. So definitely feel like it will be you guys actually making that move this month. And the bottom of the deck on their side is the Queen of Wands. So this could just be saying that they're very passionate. Could just be pointing, of course, to the fact that we'll be in Aries season for most of April too. So could just be pointing out the timing, which is to say that this is when you guys do get that spark going. But that's what I see there. All right, and finally, let's move on to the Oracle cards. So first, we'll take a look at the Mystic Moon deck and see if we get any messages from this one. So I did pre-shuffle this deck before we started recording, and I'm actually just looking for a couple of jumpers here. So first I'll be looking for any unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you. And if I shuffle for a while and nothing comes up, I just take that as a sign to keep it moving. But let's see what we get. Like I said, first I'm looking for the unspoken messages from you to them. Okay, nothing coming up yet, but I'll give it a few more shuffles before I move on. Oh, got one there, but it did fall over. And let's see if we get any from them to you before I go pick up your cards. Okay, nothing coming up here, but same as I did with yours, I'll give it a few more shuffles, see if we get anything before I move on. All right, there we go. So got two from them, and it looked like two actually fell for you. So give me a second while I get those. Okay, so starting with yours, we have I'm reminded of you constantly, and I'm in a much better headspace now. So interesting. I mean, the I'm reminded of you constantly, right? I mean, obviously, if that's your main love interest, that almost is self-explanatory, but the I'm in a much better headspace now one stands out to me because that makes me think of what I was saying with that 10 of arrows, where you actually get to that point where you're finally ready to communicate your feelings towards them. So it makes sense there, but let's see what their cards say. Okay, I feel damaged, like I just can't do this, and we will be together again. Interesting message there. So I feel damaged, like I just can't do this. That makes me think of maybe the moon energy, where, maybe that was where the confusion was coming from. Maybe they were just trying not to get close, so that could have been why they were trying to keep a distance from you and not giving you that clear indicator that they were into you. As for this, though, that's a bit more interesting because I really didn't get a vibe from this spread at all that you guys were with this person in the past. But I mean, maybe if this is someone that you have been with in the past, and maybe even if you guys broke up during the retrograde or something like that, maybe that's what this is pointing to. But yeah, hopefully that resonated with you guys. And then lastly, we'll pull a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. And same situation, I did pre-shuffle this deck before we started recording, but here I'm just looking for one jumper and then we'll wrap up. Okay, there we go. That was quick. We have TikTok. There's the artwork, and the number is 30. So let me see what it says in the book. Okay, it says timelessness, divine timing, immeasurable time. The Oracle's message: when humans created time, everything changed and contracted. People have come to look at life in a linear way, imagining that the past is behind them and the future is ahead of them. But what if that isn't true at all? What if everything, creativity, beauty, chaos, and order, were happening now in a glorious timelessness? You have all the time in the world to co-create the life you desire, so release your agenda. Let go of your need to shape each moment to your expectations, knowing that knowing that what is yours will never be withheld from you. Miracles are here right now and always show up when you need them right on time. So interesting there. I wasn't really getting the vibe that you guys were being controlling about the situation, but maybe that's almost what this is saying in a way, as far as, maybe you were just trying to be a bit of a perfectionist around it, which is what was preventing you from taking action in a way. And also, I do like the fact that it's saying that, hey, if this is something meant for you, you're not going to lose it either, due to the fact that you did take your time. So, if you guys were feeling bad about the fact that maybe you have taken a long time to come to this decision, that's a pretty good message there too. All right, the relationship message says love, the fulfillment of desire, and even the body's reproductive cycles have their own timetable. Some things are preordained and cannot be coerced. Everything has its season, its divine and appropriate timing, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Remember that you always have enough time for love, to find it, to nurture it, to give and receive it. Its clock is eternal and ticks according to the beating of your heart in perfect rhythm. Isn't that wonderful to know? Love is always right on time. So definitely a pretty solid message there. And again, like I said, I feel like it just reinforces what I was saying, as far as, in a way, it does seem like maybe you guys really were taking a long time to make up your mind about, okay, am I going to speak out? Am I not going to speak out? And maybe you were even getting a little frustrated, right? Getting stuck in your head trying to figure out what the best approach was. But what I do like about this message is it's saying, even though you might feel like you lost a lot of time in that process, really this was all meant to be, taking place in this timeline anyway. So hopefully that resonated with you guys. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.